fixed our technical glitch. This is Elsie Kerns. Good evening. And I would like to welcome Lisa Frattali, and she is going to share some very interesting information with us about her book, Me, Money, and Mold. So if you ever had to deal with that issue, this is someone who has researched it, experienced it, and is going to tell us all about it tonight. Lisa, thanks for joining me. Welcome.
Oh, hi, Elsie. Thank you very much for having me. It's very nice to be here. Oh,
So, Lisa, one of the things that I'd like to know about when you wrote this book, I know you have a copy of the book. I have mine at the office, Me, Money, and Mold.
yeah.
I know you explained the enormous research you went to heal yourself with this situation, the money that you spent trying to find out how to heal yourself,
Uh,
yeah, how you really went in finally to alternative holistic ideas to really resolve this issue. So tell us a little bit about your story and what happened.
oh, wow. It was 5 years ago. I was trading. I was a trader at the time and at home. I didn't trade on the floor. And before I figured out that I was sick, I was really depressed and couldn't figure that out because I loved what I did. I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't sit still at my computer. And it was December 2013, right after Christmas, December 27th. I ended up in the emergency room because I couldn't breathe. And anyway, it was 7 months and 14 different people, and they weren't all medical doctors. I don't remember, Elsie, if I saw you the first time around. I know I did last year, this year or last year. But I went to very many different people trying to figure out what was wrong with me because I couldn't breathe. I couldn't catch my breath. I stopped eating, thinking it was allergies. It was allergies. It was black mold in my office, and there were toxins in my body. They really affect you in hideous ways that you can't imagine. I lost my eyesight briefly on the way home to my house. I'm trying to think of all the things that happened, but I went to an acupuncturist. I did the energy medicine. Of course, I do my allergy shots. I did homeopathy. I did a lot of different things. And I found that after all of that, understanding my body was the most powerful thing I could do for myself. And finding you was really a godsend because you helped me understand my energies. And it's not something that you do once. It's something that it's an ongoing thing.
Right.
You're understanding your body. And I had a lot of things going on in my body. I sat in front of 6 computer screens for 11 years. I was at my desk for 10 hours a day or more. I was truly obsessed with what I did, which wasn't a good thing. Um, Probably like a lot of people. And I had to walk away from everything, which was really hard for me to do because I think like a lot of people, we think we are what we do. And when I had to walk away with it, I had to figure out who I was. So the process of getting well physically was more so a mental thing for me. And I think it is for a lot of people. And I say that in the book, that I don't think anybody can create anything of any lasting change in their body, in their life until they figure out what's going on with them physically. And there's no shut off valve between your head and your body. And I really, I think maybe people don't see that, but it's true.
Mhm.
Yeah. So,
So, Lisa, I want to go back, and I remember you telling me that when you discovered this situation, I mean, you and Jerry had to rip apart
uh,
everything in the house to find out the extensiveness of the mold.
yeah.
And I forget how much you told me this whole process cost, but it was an incredible amount of money.
I don't think anybody would believe me. I'd say personally, like for my medical bills, maybe 50,000. Most of the stuff was off the grid. It wasn't stuff that was covered by my insurance, which kind of stunk to begin with, but a lot of it wasn't covered. Um, I did a lot. I felt like a chemistry lab. I took a lot of things from a lot of different people. And I kept trying this and trying that. And as I finally went back to when I found at the 14th doctor was the allergist, Dr. McGrath, who really helped me.
Yeah.
And um, he's local. He's in South Jersey, thank goodness. And then at the same time, Elsie, I found you. So it wasn't just a Western medicine. It was also understanding how they could be, combined and not fighting against one another. So I believe in allergy shots, and of course, the energy medicine practices that I do every day really help me. I do qigong. Of course, it's the supplements that I now take that I found when I was sick. They're Shaklee. I never knew about this company. So what they did to my house was, we spent a fortune fixing the house and finally sold it. But I think so many people get stuck in that trap. There's it's a toxin or something in their body, and maybe it's in their house, and they're scared. They don't know who to trust. You're in this vortex of you don't know who to believe. And I just talked about the man who helped us with the testing of our house. I didn't get into anything that other people that the reconstruction of our house, but I met a lot of people along the way who were also like I was, searching for answers. And I do a podcast on it because I say I'm trying to shorten the learning curve. And it's not that difficult to get healthy again if you feel miserable like I did. And to have a daily practice where you prioritize your health with a daily practice every day. I think it's imperative for people to do that, especially as we get older. And I don't know if women, I know women, but I don't know about men, but we're pulled in a million different directions. So I think it's a godsend, Elsie, that I found the people that I did, and you are, of course, included in that. And I mention you in the book. So, I don't know, did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. And, I remember when we were doing the work, you actually did the exercises. You actually had the experience of getting back your health along with Shaklee and some of the other things that you found with the allergy shots and all the things that you needed to do. And you are now coaching people. So tell us a little bit about that. I love the title of your website, Free the Wizard.
Free the Wizard, yes. Well, my background is finance and psychology, and I always believed in the power of the human spirit when I was first in working with patients, when I was in psychology. And I am not a psychologist, just to clear the air there, I'm not. And I worked in the field, but I didn't like it. And from there, I was a single mom at the time. I went into the financial business. And Free the Wizard is about helping people realize that they don't have to do 90% of what's out there in personal development. I took a lot of courses myself while I was doing other things in my life. And I think when you stick with general themes, being happy and healthy and having a fulfilling life, that it's not always about money. And I think for a lot of people, they know that, but they're so stuck with, but I need to make money. And I understand that. When you're trading, I traded my money and my husband's money. And every decision I made, I lived with the consequences. So I understand intimately what it's like to have your decisions and your consequences, you live them every day. And so I understand that people need to make money, but I really believe that you need to understand your perception of money and what it means to you. And if you could understand yourself, your health. So the program is really about you teaching people that they're really miracles every day themselves, not out here, not what everybody is. It's within you. And I think I searched for that most of my life, like a lot of people. I grew up in a joyless household, like many people. And I probably carried that into my adulthood, looking for fulfillment and joy and happiness in what I did, in relationships, until the point where I think that's one of the reasons why I got sick. I'd had enough. I was making I know I was making decisions when I was sick. I actually had a doctor say that to me. Is this it? It was a female doctor. And she said, and I said, no. But she thought I was choosing my illness to die. And I thought, gee, no, not at all. I have a lot of things to do with my life. And so, I don't know. Did I answer your question again, Elsie? I'm rambling on here, but
I love when I go on your website, in big, bold letters, you actually say and remind us there is no magic bullet or holy grail. And, so you're very realistic. And I love that, the podcasts are right there on your website. So you can just click on and listen to them that you do, I think, every day, correct?
Yes, I've skipped. I've missed a few days recently. There's a lot of changes in my life, but yes, I actually like to do it. I feel like I want people to listen. I want people to pass it on because it is free, and I feel that they can get some value from it. And I love to have people come on to the podcast and talk with me, because I don't want to be the only one. So, I don't talk about money a lot. The me, of course, is the programs, because I believe it all begins with the person. It starts with them, and then it's me, money, and mold. And mold is really health. Mold was just a euphemism for me about not taking in all of my life. And I used to say to my husband, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, to the point where I couldn't breathe. And I know that sounds simplistic, but I had a lot to do with that. So, yeah.
So I also know that you have an ebook, and I love the title of that as well, because that is certainly an issue for me. And it's called Your Sugar Knows, Fix It Now. That book, that sounds great.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about what led you to write that.
Well, the main book, Me, Money, and Mold, my magical mystery guide to being deliriously happy and healthy. I have that here too. I'll just show you quickly. That's on Amazon. The other one is a little ebook. While this one was being produced, it wasn't for me. It wasn't happening fast enough, and so I contacted another company, and this was supposed to be like within a day. And it was just about sugar, more so than anything, sugar and the supplements I take. Because I said, there's a picture of me. I was a fat little kid. That's true. I was, I think, 84 pounds when I was 5 years old. And there's a picture of me. I was fat. I grew up in an Italian family, and my grandfather used to take me to the store around the corner for ice cream all the time. My grandmother baked. My grandparents lived downstairs. I lived upstairs with my parents. So, I was a fat little kid, and I grew up with that addiction to sugar, and I think a lot of us do. I mean, I did, and my brother was fat, and my father struggled with his weight, and we both all three of us ended up addicted to nasal spray. My father had nasal spray in every room in the house, and so I actually thought that was kind of normal, and I was addicted to Afrin nasal spray. So, and I didn't want people to know, because they'd say, oh my God, it's so bad. And I thought, well, I needed to breathe. And I did, for a long time. And then I'd wean myself off. So the program we teach also is scientifically based. It's based on a lot of the concepts in Dr. Daniel Kahneman's book, Thinking Fast and Slow. And so it debunks willpower, and it talks about procrastination is not a bad thing. If you've got some kind of chemical addiction like I did, to nasal spray, delaying it for 2 minutes, delaying the habit of, like, let's say smoking. I used to smoke, is very difficult for people. But if you can do that and do anything other than that, just those 2 minutes, you're lessening the power of that addiction on you, on your head. So when I was actually teaching this last year in a class, an alternative school in Camden, I was recovering from another nasal surgery, and I couldn't breathe well. And of course, I couldn't use anything. And I was thinking, I live this stuff. I live my concepts. I live it. I know what it feels like to suffer from something that you feel like it's never going to go away. And it does go away. And your thoughts have a lot to do with it. But the way you feel is what you really want to remember, and what frees you. That's why Free the Wizard. Like the stuff that you taught me, Elsie, I remember it like it was yesterday. Calling you and about the lung, all of that I do, and bringing in the new, and I do that every morning. I get chills. I'm in my spleen. I talk to people about it. It's like it's life changing. I don't know how else to say it. And it's a technique that you free people, right? You give them that power to look at, you can be healthy. It's not hard to do this. And I love it because what do I say with my spleen? I nourish my body with love. And I thought, man, that is a theme in my life of you're either connected or you're not. Mm-hmm. And it's so nice to feel connected now. And it's not rocket science. I say that a lot. Probably people get tired of hearing it. And that's why Free the Wizard is really to the point. I'm because I worked as a trader. I'm like, I want to know bottom line, tell me what I got to do. And that's what I think a lot of people need to hear. I'll tell you what you got to do. And this is what I did. It worked. So, yeah.
Well, Lisa, I know that you actually work to empower women. And it was interesting when we were talking earlier this evening while we were working through all those glitches that you pointed out that 68%, and you said it's even higher, you think now, yeah. But 68% of the wealth in the United States is controlled by women. So what kind of message do we need to give women tonight as we
well, think about that? You are the one who, like, I was asking my husband today about the supplements we take. And I said, well, why do you take them? He said, well, I do feel different. He said, when stop taking it. But he said, you told me to take it. And, oh, okay. And I think we as mothers, and, I'm in a, age group where I'm in a sandwich generation. My mom is here living with us, and I have a granddaughter, and I have 2 daughters, and yes, they do listen to what I suggest that they do, and they don't always do it, but they follow my lead a lot. I do a lot of research, and I think a lot of women do that. So we are the consumers of education, of food products. I mean, you name it. And maybe not so much investing, because I think a lot of women feel, I've heard a lot of women say that they don't understand it. And I talk a lot about that if I talk about money in the podcast. Stuff that I learned, I spent a ton of money understanding trading. I learned a lot of things. I studied with 2 floor traders. And so I learned a lot about money and all the different vehicles available to people. And the bottom line for after 11 years was that it's not rocket science. Also, the financial industry wants you to believe that it's job security for them. And as they're becoming more commoditized, their commissions are practically nothing now. You can do it yourself. It's to your advantage that you really pick something that you understand. I say that if you wear makeup, Estee Lauder is a publicly held company. You can buy that yourself. Dividends are always a good thing. It's not difficult at all. It's not, and when I say I was in, I'm all self-taught. My degree is in psychology, biology. That's my background. Finance, that's all self-taught. You know, I had licenses, but I taught myself everything. And anybody can do that. So, and I think women don't give themselves enough credit for the power of the purse that they have. And I think that's really important that they understand that, because we also live longer than our husbands most of the time.
Yes.
And so we have to be aware of that. I mean, you know, people depend on us. That's another reason why I got to say, you point to your health. Like, when you take care of yourself, you have to put yourself first. That was the big lesson I got from being sick. I'm taking care of everybody but me. And I think a lot of women do that. And to the point where you got to stop what you're doing and become healthy again. So.
Well, thanks. That's great advice. And I agree. You know, especially today, we are living at such a tremendous pace. And then we add in all of the holidays.
Yeah.
It's a very, very busy world.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Lisa, once again, I want everyone to know, if you'd like to know more about her work, freethewizard.com. You can go there and contact her for any questions you have, either about sugar or mold or money, and watch her podcast. And I really appreciate your joining me and sticking in there tonight with our little bit of our glitches till we got everything moving and grooving here on Facebook. So thanks everyone for joining us. This is Elsie Kerns, your Chaos to Clarity coach, with an Elsie Energized Be Live TV presentation with Lisa Frattali. So I hope you have a great evening, everyone, and we will see you again soon. Lisa, thanks so much for joining.
Thank you, Elsie. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Good night, everyone.
Good night.